Hey guys, Level Cap here, and welcome to This Week in Gaming, the new show where we catch you up on all the big stuff that happened with video games in the last week. Today we got some big stories, like Stalker 2 may require a monster computer to play, Call of Duty is banning VPNs that could have big ramifications, there seems to be a pretty big win for game preservation, and much more. Let's dive in. NVIDIA published a blog showing off Stalker 2's benchmarks running on their 40 series GPUs, and let's just say without the use of DLSS 3 and frame gen, things could be very slow. The RTX 4070 without frame gen is barely managing 60 FPS, and that's with upscaling enabled at 1080p output resolution. Annoyingly, the blog didn't post medium or low settings for comparison. I know very few gamers who turn every visual setting to its max, so this isn't a great real-world example of how well the game may run. The results also show that there's a good chance that the game may be somewhat CPU bound, meaning that one of the few ways to push beyond 60 FPS will likely be with frame gen tech. News about these benchmarks have led fans to complain about misleading recommended specs. They list specific resolutions like 1080p and 4K as the target resolutions for varying PC specs, but one of the game's community managers confirmed that those specs are with upscaling enabled. Fans have continued to show their displeasure with more and more games relying on upscaling and fancy GPU tech to achieve acceptable frame rates. Call of Duty's developers are taking big steps towards clamping down on cheating and players abusing skill-based matchmaking. They're banning the use of VPNs to play Black Ops 6 and Warzone's online modes. VPNs are commonly used by cheaters to help avoid detection and also secure copies of the game from different regions. And while banning VPNs might be a hindrance to cheaters, it could have a big impact on players that use them to region hop. Plenty of legitimate players are forced to play this way due to local restrictions preventing them from accessing the game. But there's also a segment of players that use VPNs to avoid the skill-based matchmaking system. They use VPNs to connect out of region even when they don't need to, giving them a higher ping and forcing them to prioritize connection speed above skill metrics. This notoriously results in bot lobbies, according to the community, where the average skill of a player is significantly lower than with standard matchmaking procedures. GOG have announced a new games preservation program that labels classic titles on their store as guaranteed to work and to continue working on modern systems. This label essentially means that the restoration team at GOG that handles patching older games to ensure that they run correctly will have verified this game, so you shouldn't have any issues buying it or getting it to run. GOG has a history of restoring or patching older games when needed, but this label makes things more official. It could also mean that publishers who release their games with the label will have to support the game properly or be willing to let GOG step in when necessary. This is a big deal considering Ubisoft is currently getting sued for shutting down the crew, and according to a recent study, 87% of all games made before 2010 are currently unplayable. Hopefully this is a great step towards game preservation. The first two Unreal games, Unreal and Unreal Tournament, are finally available online for download. Old Unreal, a community website that maintains their own patches for legacy titles to ensure that they run on modern PCs, has been given Epic's blessing to distribute installers for both games free to anyone. In other words, you can now head to Old Unreal's official site and download convenient installers that automatically download and install both of Epic's original iconic titles, as well as the relevant community patches to get them working online. Epic delisted basically all of the Unreal games from the digital storefronts in January last year, making them impossible to download legally. Valve has added the iconic map Train to Counter-Strike 2 with major changes to its layout and visuals. A-Site has been reworked, removing Heaven, which was an overlook location. The rework also widens several corridors, opens a new tunnel to A-Site, and overhauls the trains in B-Site. And while the changes will likely take some time to evaluate, the star of the show is the map's graphical overhaul. The map has been converted to an evening time of day during a rainstorm, and Valve have been very selective with this rain effect, making it only appear under lights, dripping from overhangs, and speckling weapon models. This was likely done to ensure ensure good visibility at longer ranges, but the result is basically one of the better looking maps available in the game right now, which says something considering how good most of the maps actually look. Now when it comes to other Valve games getting visual upgrades, the Half-Life 2 RTX project by Orbifold Games has gotten an official Steam page. They released a new trailer with the project leads talking about their motivations for working on the project, and while they didn't reveal much in the way of new footage, it's still a great advertisement for Nvidia's RTX Remix software. This remaster relies on Nvidia's new tool Remix to replace lighting and assets in real time, since the old engine simply can't handle a lot of the more modern assets and lighting required to make it look great. And this project will likely be the first full-fledged implementation of RTX Remix to hit Steam outside of the Portal RTX release Nvidia published when they unveiled the software. I've personally checked out Remix several times and the tech is very impressive, and I gotta say I am super excited for this remaster. Continuing on with the Half-Life fan projects turned into official releases, the developers of the Half-Life remake Black Mesa have announced an original game called Rogue Point. It's a tactical shooter very much in the vein of Rainbow Six Siege, but it's not a PvP experience. A team of 4 players will be pitted against a squad of AI enemies on procedurally generated maps that change with each match. It also sounds like the game will borrow from extraction shooters, with any acquired weapons from the previous match carried over to future ones. It's currently available to wishlist on Steam and has a 2025 release window. The biggest game developer union is currently on strike. Hundreds of Zenimax employees are now protesting to call out Microsoft for the lack of progress at the bargaining table over remote work and for unilaterally outsourcing quality assurance work without bargaining with the union. This union was formed early last year under what seemed like a somewhat amicable terms with the parent company Microsoft, who acquired Zenimax back in 2021. Speaking of Microsoft, in an interview with Bloomberg, the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, has indicated that the time of Xbox exclusives may be changing. In very non-committal language, he seemed to suggest that the momentum of the market was shifting towards more openness with games and less exclusivity. There's no lines in their portfolio lineup that say "thou must not," and even when questioned about Halo, he said that it's too early to make any sort of decision about the next version of Halo, but at least the answer wasn't no. And with Microsoft's recent acquisition of Activision Blizzard, having non-exclusivity and opening up their games to all platforms could be absolutely great for consumers. Hopefully this will lead PlayStation down a similar path. Potential pricing for Nvidia's new graphics card, the RTX 5090, has leaked, and it's high. The leaked figures show it somewhere between $2,000 and $2,400. For context, the current generation RTX 4090 launched at an MSRP of $1,600. At this point, it's unclear what the lower tiers of the 5000 series GPUs will retail for, and these leaks are still just rumors until proven otherwise. But if they're true, this could set a new standard for insanely expensive GPUs. And considering that AMD is basically pulling out of the high-end GPU market, well, this kind of gives Nvidia free rein to charge whatever they want for high-end hardware. Alright, let's rapid fire some of the game reveals and releases. Arc Raiders got an in-depth gameplay trailer showcasing how the game has evolved from a looter shooter to an extraction shooter. I have a full breakdown on my channel if you want to know more. The upcoming successor to Gary's mod, SN Box, finally got a Steam page. It doesn't have a release date currently, however the devs have clarified that the game will feature a sandbox mode similar to Gary's mod, and its sausage-shaped character models won't be your only option when creating content for the game. And finally, Blizzard launched a classic mode for Overwatch 2 that offers a pretty faithful recreation of the first game's core design. Teams can have duplicate heroes, and all of the gameplay is balanced based on the original game. The only catch is you still have to be playing on Overwatch 2's version of the original maps. And that wraps it up for this week in gaming. If you guys enjoy the show and want to support it, give it a like, subscribe for more content like it, and ding that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. Up next, check out that deeper dive into Arc Raiders, which is launching very soon. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.